Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PSBlue Podcast, the 39th best PlayStation podcast, according to Vinny. I'm Anthony, and as always, I'm joined by my cousin and co-host, Vinny. How we doing today?
I'm doing good, Anthony. I'm excited about the topics that we have today. Some exciting stuff to go over. How are you doing?
I'm ready to do this. We had a couple misfires earlier on today, but I think we're reining it in and getting ready to go. So before we start, I do have some housekeeping that I need to go over. I just wanted to apologize for my audio quality last week. There was some setting that wasn't supposed to be activated on my mic turned on. It should be resolved right now, though. And all the future episodes, we should be okay. Like I said before, we're still getting into our workflow and trying to iron some stuff out. So apologies there. All in all, though, I thought it went pretty awesome last week. What did you think, Vinny?
Yeah, man, I think it went really well. We're very early into the process here, but I think we're taking some strides with each episode, and we're learning from, the previous episode. So I'm excited to see where this takes us.
Cool. As we continue to find our footing, we're going to add, remove, and modify segments as we see fit. If you have any ideas, suggestions, or topics you'd like us to cover, just go ahead and write in. The YouTube comments section is where we'll look first. Okay, awesome. On to the episode. Today we're going to be covering a nice variety of topics, including Trophy Scum, Unreal Engine 5, PS Plus catalog, Wolverine, and Vinny's Crash 4 review. But first things first, here's the quote of last week's episode. This is a direct quote from Vinny, again, regarding Nickelodeon All-Stars Battle Royale. Vinny said, quote, "Let me just say this, the Crimson Chin, how is he not a character? That's an easy one. That's a freebie." End quote. Vinny, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, man, it's a layup. Put the Crimson Chin in this game. And like we discussed last week, it seems like the developers of Nickelodeon All-Stars Battle Royale have no idea that Fairly Odd Parents is a Nickelodeon property. And I'll be a man of my word. If they put somebody from Fairly Odd Parents, it could be anybody. Preferably Crimson Chin in this game, I'll play it, and I'll put my thoughts out here on the podcast for sure, because I know you've played it a little bit. So yeah, but I back that up, man. It's a layup. This is something that I would have come up with day one if I was a developer, but in the early stages of development. This is a character that needs to be in the game. Put the Crimson Chin in there, and let's get this ball rolling.
Did you see that there's also another one of these called Multiversus? It's like Warner Brothers characters and Cartoon Network people, stuff like that. Did you see that?
I did. I think I watched if I remember correctly, it was kind of like a CGI trailer, like a cinematic trailer, if you will, not CGI, but it didn't really show any gameplay, so I'm not very familiar with that aspect of it. I'm assuming, is it going to play like Super Smash Bros? Like one of these sort of brawlers? Is that what we're getting into here with this one?
Yeah, that's the way it looks, but it's like apparently a 2-on-2 situation where you have some synergy that you're supposed to create with two characters, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, or have like a specific combo or something like that. I don't know, but that's I've done some very minor reading up on it, and that's what it seems like. I don't know. It's free to play.
That's pretty cool. I think if they do, maybe like a duos-esque. I know it was free to play, so that aspect is interesting to me. What are the microtransactions going to look like? I mean, my goodness, Warner Bros. You could only imagine what that game's going to look like, sure, microtransaction wise. So yeah, I'm interested though. I think we're both mutually interested in that to see how it goes. I think we'll both probably play it for the podcast. I'd imagine. I'm interested to see what that is for sure.
Cool. Moving on. Oh, really quickly, have you played anything interesting this week, or is there anything that we should know about as far as what you're playing? I know Crash 4. Obviously, you pick up anything else last week?
So, like you said, a lot of Crash 4, but outside of that, I actually picked up the director's cut of Death Stranding. And I don't know what it was that made me kind of crave this game. I played the original Death Stranding on PS4 for probably roughly about 25 hours. I never beat it. And I think I was actually in the PlayStation Store and I saw an ad for it. and I felt compelled to get it. It was a $10 upgrade, which we talked about last week, which kind of pissed me off that I had to pay $10 for
Oh yeah.
the same exact game. There is a 30 FPS to 60 FPS jump here, though. And what's interesting is actually what we discussed last week, where developers are kind of putting you in the prioritize fidelity mode initially. This game puts you in the frame rate mode to begin with. So I found that to be pretty interesting, and this isn't necessarily a game I think that needs 60 FPS, to be honest with you. There's not a lot of quick twitch sort of, not a lot of gameplay elements that, require that sort of quick twitch reflexes or anything like that. But it's really good, man. This is a really, really good game. I think it's very underrated. I know it's not for everyone. I know that people categorize this game as boring, but to be honest with you, it's right up my alley. I think that both of us, you know what this game kind of reminds me of in a weird way, from just the feeling that you get when you're playing it, very similar to The Sims when we were growing up. You're not necessarily doing there's not a lot of action there. It's kind of just checking boxes, doing things, progressing your character. You're not doing, there's not a whole lot of action sequences or anything like that in this game. It's a lot of fun, though. I got to be honest, this game really kind of scratches an itch for me, to be honest with you. I love this game. I really do, and I plan on beating the PS5 version.
Wow.
I've put in probably about 5, maybe 6 hours now into this version, so it's a really good game, man. Have you checked this one out?
No, I literally haven't even played it for a minute. I've seen maybe 5 minutes of gameplay. I know with a lot of Kojima games, they're very story driven and there's a lot of surprises along the way. So I was trying to keep myself a little bit away from coverage of the game. Having said that, though, you're a mailman? That's the game? You're a mailman? I don't know.
Dude, you are a UPS delivery boy with no truck. You are literally just walking back and forth. That is essentially the game. It's a walking simulator.
How is that fun?
But it's man, like I said, this game is not for everyone. I know people are going to play this game. They're going to say this is really boring, but there's something about delivering these packages, as corny as that sounds, that's very enjoyable. And you kind of progress. Your character gets a little bit, you add more equipment as you go along. There's also elements of terrain. There's sort of terrain obstacles that you have to overcome for each individual package delivery. And it's one of those games that you can relax. You don't necessarily have to pay attention to the story so much. The story's very Kingdom Hearts, very convoluted. A lot of stuff
Kingdom
going
Hearts
on that
not
doesn't
in a good
make
way.
Kingdom Hearts, exactly, not in a good way.
Okay.
It is not the good kind of Kingdom Hearts from this story. This game is very convoluted when it comes to its story, but for some reason, I keep coming back to it, man. It's this gameplay. It's very addictive. I gotta be honest, for me. And like I said, I understand that people didn't like this game. I think it's an underrated gem for a lot of reasons. I really, really like this game. I'll be interested to see if you ever try this game. You're gonna have to let me know, because I'm very interested to see if you find this one compelling. I really am. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game, because it really grabbed me. It really did. The gameplay is just so addicting. I really found it to be very compelling.
Do you think I would like it? Or do you think, like, if you had to guess, would you think I would like it or no? No?
It's so hard to say.
Really?
It is so hard to say. This game is such a unique experience to where even if I know what games you like, I don't know, man. This is not a game I could recommend to, you're just going to have to try it out, man. That's it. And like I said, I think we're going to talk about the PS Plus subscription. It's going to be on there, man. So why not, dip your toe in the water a little bit?
Apparently. Well, that's a good point. I don't think I wanted to shell out money for it. And we'll get to that in the PS Plus discussion, but that's a good point. It actually caught my eye. I might grab it when I grab the second tier, which is what the tier I think I'm going to get into. But we'll get to that when we get to that. I might check it out. It sounds like something that I would have to play to really decide. But as far as what I'm playing right now, it's mainly NHL 22, which is not in honor of my Rangers being in the playoffs right now. And As we speak, they just beat the Carolina Hurricanes to go down 1-2, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It's I used to love playing hockey games when I was a little kid, and then I took a break from it. NHL Hits 2002, that was my game. Shout out if anybody has played that. I love that game. It is so good, bobblehead mode and stuff like that. If you know, you know. But anyway, definitely not like that. Definitely more of a simulation sort of a game. But it just has that EA stink on it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you or no?
Yeah, I was going to ask that actually. What sort of input do you feel EA corporate has on this game? I'm just curious because I play Madden and it just reeks of, man, they're just trying to take my money just any way, just like leeches. Yeah. How can I get a penny? Like, please give us some money. I mean, I already gave you $60. I mean, what do you want? Every time I go to a loading screen, they're throwing another card pack in my face. Like, please, like, my gosh, can I just enjoy this game? But I'm curious. Yeah. What sort of input it has that EA stench to it, if you will?
It does. It does. I need to just forget about it in order to get through the game. You know what I mean? But hockey is just such a fun sport to play that it sort of, transcends the EA stink. The 3-on-3 modes and the sort of like, I haven't tried the Ultimate Team because I'm over that, because that just has, my microtransactions written all over it. And I played Ultimate Team in Madden a little bit, but anyway, I don't want to hang ourselves up too much on this because it's just a guilty pleasure of mine right now that I'm playing for hockey season.
Playoff season. What I will say, Anthony, is that we will need to discuss the diminishing quality of sports games at some point on this podcast, for sure.
Absolutely. That's a really good. I need to write that down. That's a great topic.
We have to, man.
So let's So the first talking point we have today is Vinny doesn't even know what it's about, but I just titled it in our little write-up that I send to him. It's called Trophy Scum. And I had an experience this morning when I woke up that was so bizarre to me that I needed to talk about it while it was fresh in my mind. So I'm browsing I'm browsing the PlayStation Store, as I always do. And I was thinking about starting a segment on our YouTube channel where I kind of dive into lesser known games, some of those weird games that you see on the PlayStation Store that have like one stock photo and maybe 13 like ratings and stuff like that, and just those weird games that are just completely out of nowhere that doesn't seem to have a developer that you've ever heard of behind it. And I was looking for one of those. I was looking for one of those to see if this was a segment that I would even interest myself in. And I stumbled upon this little game called Foxy Land. Now, Foxy Land is a retro-style platformer game, and I load the game up. It was $1.74 on the PlayStation Store. I load the game up. I go to the first level. I walk in a straight line, collect a cherry, which is the equivalent of a coin, I guess, and pop a gold trophy. I pop a gold trophy in literally 1 minute. So that happened. Go ahead, Vinny. Vinny, you look like you want to say something.
How dirty did you feel about that gold trophy
disgusting.
that popped up on your screen?
I felt
you had to have been
disgusting.
Yep.
Then I killed a frog, and another gold trophy popped.
Oh my gosh, it's getting worse. Oh,
I bought something in the PlayStation Store, not in the PlayStation Store, in the in-game store. I used some of the cherries that I had collected. Another gold trophy pops. I had 4 gold trophies, 1 silver trophy, and 2 bronze trophies in 4 minutes. 4 minutes. You can look at my history on my trophies in the trophy store. I picked up the cherry at like 9:59 a.m. and I had the 4th gold trophy at 10:04 a.m. or something like that. So what's that? 5 minutes? Sorry, I was off by a minute. But anyway, it's that people are buying games like this to just and okay, here's the last thing I'm gonna say because I'm ranting now. There's a platinum trophy for this game. Vinny, I'm gonna throw it to you because I'm ranting. I have stink on my gamer tag, not my gamer tag, on my username gamer tag. Got it. That's going all the way back to the Xbox 360 days. What do you have to say about this?
Anthony, I hate to tell you, we're going to have to discredit all of your trophies now.
Oh,
I hate to say it, man. If you have golden trophies for 1 minute of gameplay, multiple golden trophies, this brings into question your entire list.
I agree.
That Elden Ring Platinum's looking a lot worse.
I know.
So,
oh my
this
God.
is dirty, man. Just the story has some stench to it. This is
I feel
nasty.
gross.
I can't even believe we're discussing this. People actually do this? This is...
I guess so.
How popular is this?
Okay, so on psnprofiles.com, right? Which is an opt-in site, by the way, so it's not comprehensive in any stretch of the imagination. There is 3,635 game owners for this game and 3,500 platinum achievers. That's 96% of people that play this game get the platinum.
Yep.
4% of people have as much as integrity as I do as far as their trophies are concerned, apparently. What is this?
This is really dirty, man. This is like a dirty website that you sent me. You sent me
exactly
the tier list of these trophies, and I see it, man. 96.45% platinum trophy rate. This is, I'm curious to see why people would do this. What makes them so compelled? How gratifying is it to look at your trophy list and see this as one of your platinums? I think the platinum list should be exactly. I understand if maybe by mistake you downloaded this game. How much did you say it was? $1.74.
Yeah.
You thought maybe this is. I'm curious to see what the description of this game was on the PlayStation Store. Does it? It must say easy platinum.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because this game's also on the Switch and stuff like that. So it is just like a game that people play, but I guess. But I will say I went into there was like DLC or something, I guess, some updated levels that they had in there. And one of the trophies is defeat an opossum. And I went into a Halloween themed level and there was an opossum there, and I'm just jumping around trying to not hit this thing because I don't want this smutty gold trophy on my trophy list. And then I exited out and just quit out of the game and deleted it immediately.
Yeah, you got the hell out of there real quick while you could.
Yeah,
get out of there, man.
It's
get out.
Oh my God, I just it disgusts me. And I'm not like a trophy hunter either. Like, this isn't something that I do. But I like my trophy score. I've had it since I've had the same username on PlayStation for 15 years probably at this point, maybe even longer than that. And I like the idea of having a receipt for a game that I beat. You know what I mean? That's how I view trophies. Like having the Elden Ring Platinum, which Vinny plugged a few minutes ago, by the way. Yes, I have the Elden Ring Platinum. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, having that Platinum is very cool to me. Just so I can go back and look at it and say, hey, I have this Platinum. I have the bronze trophies for the first 6 Mega Man games just to say, hey, I've beaten the first 6 Mega Man games. And they're all bronze trophies. And in this game, you get a bronze trophy for dying for the first time. Like, I don't get it. So apparently this is a situation that I was unaware of. Were you aware of anything like this happening? These weird off-brand games putting really easy trophy lists together to get people to buy them?
No, I had no idea that this was a thing. Like you said, it just seems really dirty. To just charge $1, even charging that amount just screams, give me some change to get you a platinum trophy. You know what I mean? They're not charging $10 for this game. This is not even $5. This is $1.74. So it's a dollar. It was $1.74. What was the price point? Right? Didn't you say
it was $4.99 full price? It was on that retros and remasters sale that they had going on, and I always look at the sales. It was on there for $1.74, whatever percent off. So I was like, I'll spend $1 just to see if this is worth it to do like a YouTube video on these. innocent games that are sort of hidden on the PlayStation Store because they're from indie developers and stuff like that. It's just wrong.
It is wrong on so many levels. I'm in agreement with you, though. I think that the trophy list should be sort of a sanctuary, if you will, for special games. You know,
Right.
a platinum trophy list. Excuse me, but yeah, I like to keep those receipts. I love the trophy system, but this is nasty, man. I even feel dirty talking about this. I'll be honest with you. We're almost advertising this for people that maybe want that platinum.
Yeah,
Just
don't
kind of
don't be
scratching
this
their necks.
person.
You know,
Don't be
Yeah,
that
don't-
person. Please
Yes.
don't be that person.
don't download Foxland. Foxland, right? Is the name of this game?
Foxyland.
Even worse, Foxyland.
Yeah.
Don't download Foxyland.
So, oh my God, man, you get a gold trophy for buying an item on the shop. And I have that on my trophy list now. For buying an item on the shop, you get a gold trophy. Okay,
Must be nice.
I don't know how much longer I can talk about this before the whole
Like I
podcast
said,
goes downhill.
you're-
I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to leave it right here, and this is the last we're going to talk about this. I have a few platinums for games that I wish I just didn't have the platinum for. I wish you could go into your trophy list and delete trophies. I wish they would let you do that because it's a feature. I know it's a very weird thing to talk about, but we have examples like this right here. Like, I don't want those trophies on my trophy list. Like I said, I'm not like super into trophy hunting or anything. You and I are on the same page there. We just like having receipts for our game, and we like having the trophy list there to reflect on and stuff like that. But I don't want these trophies on my trophy list. And you can't even, I don't even think you can hide them unless you have 0% no trophies on your trophy list. That's the only time you can hide the trophies. Would you use that feature if that was a thing?
I don't think I would, because I'm not, I'm not someone that would download Foxy.
Here we go.
Not like you. I'm not like you and downloading these games for $1.74 to just get my free platinum.
Okay, let me
like
give
my
you another
trophy list
example.
to be held. I like my trophy list to be held in high regard. But no, I think that would be an interesting update for PSN for PlayStation to release, right? What would be the notes on that firmware update? Added ability to remove trophies? That just seems so bizarre to me, right?
No.
Does that not seem weird?
No, look at the Telltale games. You get a platinum for beating the Telltale game. Like, you don't have to do everything. They're like the easiest platinums to get besides Foxyland. Like, I have a couple
will say
of
with those, the Telltale games are fantastic though. So, or a lot of them are. I think particularly the earlier ones. And it's nice to get that platinum at the end. But yeah, this to me is I think for you, it's kind of a non-issue for me because my trophy list, like I said, is in, it's, I don't have nasty trophies like you do, but I think you just made a mistake. You have to own up to it. It's going to be a scar on your list for the rest of your life. I'm going to, be able to say that you have those disgusting Foxyland trophies for $1.74.
I was disgusted with myself.
But it's a good point. Yeah, if they ever announce that, though, I'm sure you'll be the first person I think of. That's
the first thing I'm doing is going home, downloading the update, and deleting those Foxyland trophies from my resume. I wish I had the option to delete the Telltale Platinums too, because I've really only gotten 2 true Platinums, and one was for this game called Teslagrad, which was just like it wasn't like a game that I necessarily wanted to get the Platinum for, but I just did everything in it. It was a good game that was on PlayStation Plus, and I had done so much and that's how I got the Elden Ring trophy too. But I also had the other trophies in my platinum trophy collection are all Telltale games. The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, I believe, are the 2 that I played and beat. And I wish I could get rid of those, to be honest. I don't feel like I did anything special to deserve. I feel like a platinum trophy is something should be hard to achieve.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement there. I think that platinum trophy should be difficult to obtain. Those Telltale trophies definitely seem a little bit, a little dirty. Not as bad as the Foxyland, but certainly I'm in agreement there. I think that platinum trophies should be an accomplishment, not necessarily just hand it to you for finishing a game. I think
Exactly. All right, let me move on from this topic before I throw my mic on the floor and kick it. So the next topic on our list of talking points is Unreal Engine 5. Now, a video is circulating the internet right now, sort of highlighting Unreal Engine 5 fan-made mock-ups for certain games, improving on certain games. And there's one in particular that, like I said, is circulating around for Cyberpunk 2077. And I sent it to you, Vinny. Did you take a look at it?
Yeah, I did. I watched the video that you sent over to me. Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty much just Cyberpunk 2077 reimagined in the Unreal Engine 5 uh, engine, and it looks next gen. There's no way around it. It looks like a completely new generation of games with the certain things they're able to do with the reflections and refractions of light, shadows, just detail levels, just animations, the way people are moving around and stuff like that, and object density is another big thing. There's just a lot of density happening now. I don't know if this is something that they sort of staged, because it's not that it's pre-rendered. I'm sure it's rendered in real time, but it it's an isolated little area. If you opened that up to the entire Cyberpunk 2077 map, would it work the same at that level of detail? But we both played the Matrix demo, uh, and I wanted to hand it over to you, Vinny, because I've been talking a lot. Um, what did you think of the Matrix demo, and what did you think of that Cyberpunk video, and just give us a breakdown of your opinions on all that.
Sure. I'll go ahead and start off with the Cyberpunk video that you sent over my way. And Unreal Engine 5 looks to be something special. I think I'm in agreement with you. This looks next gen. It looks insane, the video that you sent me on Cyberpunk's 2077. For those of you that haven't seen it, just YouTube, Cyberpunk Unreal Engine 5. I'm sure you could find it. It looks incredible, man. The lighting. The lighting is something that struck me immediately. It's just, man, I really, you've never seen anything like it. I don't think I've played a video game that has looked at, like you said, I'm curious to see how this plays. Is this a playable demo? Likely not. If I had to guess, this is probably just something for show. But you brought up the Matrix demo, which is playable and looks fucking insane. It looks insane. Now, you know me, I'm a big FPS guy. These are kind of chugging along a little bit within the Matrix demo. I was chugging a little bit here and there. And you know me, I like my 60 FPS to, have a stable frame rate. But man, if games are looking like this, of this caliber, I'm more than happy to play them at 30 FPS. I think I'll be in agreement there. I am so excited to see what developers do with this engine. Based on what we're seeing, the early videos that are kind of slowly trickling out, every single one of them have been mind-boggling. Genuinely stuff that we have not seen before. Every single video has been amazing. The early demo that Sony showed, I don't know if you remember that one, but I think it was in some sort of partnership with, who was it, Epic, I think, at the time. But these demos look amazing. I cannot wait to see a fully fleshed game in the Unreal Engine 5 engine. I genuinely cannot wait. They're
coming.
They are, man.
They're coming down the pipeline. I think Forspoken is Forspoken Unreal Engine 5.
I don't know. I have no clue. I've only seen a few videos on Forspoken, and from what I've seen, it looks incredible. From a graphical standpoint, I've only seen a few videos, particularly those that were released early on. And if that's coming out on Unreal Engine 5, I'd be pretty surprised.
Okay,
this
is courtesy of GameRant.com. These are some confirmed games for Unreal Engine 5. We have Lyra from Epic Games, Redfall from Arcane. We have Fortnite, apparently, is going to have an Unreal Engine 5 update. The Matrix Awakens, a game called Dream House, the game, which looks to be some sort of apartment construction simulator, house construction simulator. A game called Ill, Team Clout. I'm not sure if I've heard of them. Echoes of the End. Oh, here's the one that we know. Black Myth Wukong. Do you remember that game? The trailer and gameplay footage that came out for that game?
I do, and that game, I think we're in agreement, looks insane. I can't wait till that game comes
that's Unreal Engine 5. So I don't think Forspoken is. I don't. I think it must be using the Unreal Engine 4. Doesn't Square have a proprietary engine too that Kingdom Hearts was supposed to use, but didn't? It might be on that.
Yeah.
But I'd have to
I will
double
say,
check.
so based on those details, it sounds like we're about a year and a half out. If I was to guess, sometime in the
Yeah.
holiday of next year, we'll start seeing these kind of trickle out. I
Yeah.
do know from what I've read, it's been about 3 months up to this point that this has been like fully available to all developers, Unreal Engine
Sure.
5.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we're starting to see these kind of, smaller videos trickle out. But
No.
It's really exciting.
No, I don't
Go
think
ahead.
developers got it 3 months ago. I think that well, I know that it was released to the public a few months ago. So
Okay, so developers have had a longer
I would assume
longer hands-on
so.
with this up to this point.
I would.
I didn't know that. I know I had read something that was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're probably right that it was fully available, to general public.
Right.
3 months ago. So that's probably what we're referring to, and I think you're right in that regard, is that developers probably had hands-on time with this prior to 3 months ago. I would imagine, because
Well, it better be
that
awesome.
actually does make sense.
Unreal Engine 5 better be awesome. With all the money that Epic Games has gotten from Fortnite, it should be that good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it sounds like we're going to get it in Fortnite, which is interesting. So I'm curious to see what Fortnite's going to look like with Unreal Engine 5.
I am
how much of a
not.
difference is that going to be?
I am not
I've played
at
a little Fortnite in my time.
Ugh.
I'll probably hop into it to just
Oh, that's
see,
gross.
the graphics.
No. Yeah, just go in to talk about smutty trophy list. I'm gonna look at your trophy list, see if there's any Fortnite on there. Okay, so
I'm clean.
moving on. Go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Oh no, I was going to say I'm clean. You go scour my trophy list. I don't have no Foxy Land trophies in mine. Scour all you want.
Please, I
have
don't want to
any
talk about
dirty
this
trophies.
anymore. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I shouldn't have even brought it up. Okay, next category, PlayStation Plus tiered catalog. So what we have here is a we'll say it's the majority of the important games that are going to come to the new PlayStation Plus sort of three-tiered system that they're doing for the subscription service. This is from PlayStation Blog again, and I just wanted to go over some of the games that are coming out for this thing. So we have a PS4 and PS5 game catalog. This is for the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium tiers. Some notable games on there: Bloodborne, Days Gone, Demon's Souls, the PS5 version, Destruction All-Stars, which nobody played, Everybody's Golf, Ghost of Tsushima, Director's Cut. We have Matterfall, which is a game that is a blind spot for me by Housemarque that I'll probably check out. Shadow of the Colossus, Until Dawn, Uncharted 4, the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. So these are some good games, and those are only the first party games. There's also third party games on there too, like Outer Wilds, which is a phenomenal game. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Hollow Knight, For Honor, Far Cry 3 Remaster, and Far Cry 4. Very old games, but those games they're good. They hold up. Resident Evil. I'm assuming that's Resident Evil 7. It doesn't say, it just says Resident Evil. So yeah, I mean, those are the games that you get on the second tier. So just to reiterate, the PlayStation Plus Essential tier is the new PlayStation Plus as we knew it before. Okay? That's called Essential. PlayStation Plus Essential. That's old PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus Extra adds in all those games I just broke down, which is some sort of hybrid between the games that PlayStation Now had already for download and some new ones that they threw in there to really pump up the service, I'm sure. Then we go into premium. Now, premium is where it gets kind of interesting. Premium is where we get the classic games added into the mix. This is another. I don't have the pricing. Do you have the pricing, Vinny? Do you know the pricing of these?
No, I don't have those on me right now.
I think it's $17.99 for premium, and I think it's $14.99. But I could be totally wrong, so I would look it up to double check. But I'm pretty sure those are the prices. I'm pretty sure it's $17.99, so that's what, an extra $3. You get classic games, some of which you can download, which are the classic games remastered. Some of which you have to stream. See, now I'm confusing myself now here. Can you make sense of this? Are these games that you need to stream, or do you get to download these games?
So from what I'm reading here on the blog post, the third tier comes with classic PlayStation games.
Sure.
Right? Ape Escape 2, Jack 2, Jack 3, Wild Arms 3. Those appear to be downloadable. There's a section of those that are downloadable.
I see.
It looks like the PlayStation 3 games that comes with that third tier of service are only via stream, for the most part, from what I'm seeing here. The majority of them are via stream. And for some reason, you know what's funny that I'm looking here now? Demon Souls is available via stream on PS3 through that third tier, or you could have the second tier and get the PS5 version of Demon Souls to download. Yeah, that's funny. Which one would you rather do? Stream the original Demon Souls on your PlayStation 5 or download the PS5 one? I mean, I guess maybe some people would want to play the original,
but still, just,
I mean, what a mess.
This is so much to unpack.
Yeah.
It really is. So, okay, so you're right. So there's a classic games catalog. If you go to the PlayStation blog post, you can find it. Just go to blog.playstation.com. You can see a full breakdown of these games. They are classic games that you can now download, some of which were already on the PlayStation Store. It seems like there are new ones that they're adding into the fold, but there's a separate list that Vinny just mentioned for the streaming ones, and it's a more expanded list. This is just it's a huge nightmare, and this is one of the main reasons that Microsoft was so dominant in the Xbox 360 era, because the PS3, these games are you still can't get them. All you can do is stream them on a PS3 emulator somewhere in Santa Monica. Like, it's ridiculous. They still have not found a way to get these PS3 games onto PlayStation 4s and PlayStation 5s. I am done talking. Because I am just this is such a mess. Vinny, what do you have to say about any of this?
Now that we have a little bit more concrete details here, I kind of dove into this a little bit when they announced it earlier into the week. One thing that stood out to me, well, the first thing is I can't wait to have my timed free trial of Farming Simulator 2022. That was the first thing that stood out. God, I can't wait to play that for 60 minutes and then get cut off of Farming Simulator. There's 5 Anthony, there's 6 games that you get free trials of. We were talking last week like we were going to get a ton of games, a ton of these game trials. I can't wait. One of them is Farming Simulator. So that was one thing that stood out to me. The other thing was, I don't think this is for me and you. I don't think this is for the hardcore fan base. I genuinely don't. But I will say this. This is also where I kind of went with this when I saw the games. If I'm someone that missed out on the PlayStation 4 era and I'm getting a PS5, I mean, you can look at this list of games here in the second tier that are, it is insane value from that perspective.
Yeah.
If you are someone that did not play these games on PlayStation 4 for whatever reason, to be honest with you, I was kind of looking at these. I kind of want to play Patapon. Patapon was remastered on PlayStation 4. I had no idea, and I was looking at that. I was like, I think that was a pretty good game.
It was
on our PSPs at the time. Yeah. It was a fun game. So maybe I'll get this second tier for a month, see how it works. But man, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Death Stranding Director's Cut is on here. The Last of Us Remastered, The Last of Us Left Behind, the DLC for that, Uncharted 4. You were talking. There's some good games here for those that haven't played them all. There is certainly some value in that second tier, but of all those games, the one, like I said, stands out. That time trial on Farming Simulator. I can't wait to play that for 30 minutes. Nah, all jokes aside, though, I think that this is not really catered towards us because we typically buy those games when they come out. So there's not really much value here of me getting access to, Uncharted 4 again, since I've, beat that game years ago. I mean, maybe I'll play it again, but, Red Dead Redemption's on here. That's my favorite game of all time. We discussed that a few weeks back. There's certainly some value here. It's for a certain audience that doesn't necessarily buy these games on day one, which we do. We know that's not everybody that's going to buy these games at $70 a pop. So I was a little taken aback by the number of PlayStation 5 games that are on here.
Yeah, me
Miles
too.
Morales is on here. Returnal is on here.
Yeah.
What else am I missing on here? I was actually pretty surprised. Like we said, Death Stranding Director's Cut, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. There are next gen games on this service that I was very surprised to see. I thought we were going to see all PS4 games. I'll be honest.
Yeah, me too.
So that took me a little bit off guard for sure. And I think those are my overall thoughts on it. I'll probably get the second tier for a month, see how it works out.
Yeah.
But I think long term I'll probably stick with the standard tier.
I think this is going to be a very interesting sort of situation that we're in here because on paper, like you said, this is great value, and it is. It's great value up front. Where do they go from here? What games are they adding? Because Sony's already come out and said it. They're not adding day and date brand new games, first party games onto the service. They've already said that, and I agree with that because we talked about the little stink that the Game Pass games have on them, and I don't want my first party Sony games to fall victim to that. I am more than happy to pay $70 for a game that I still haven't played, Horizon Forbidden West. But I know it's going to be great, and we'll get to that topic next week. But I want to show my support financially by paying full price for these games. I want them to have that full price gloss, finish, and features. You know what I mean? And I don't want microtransactions in there because I think that this kind of lends itself to microtransactions too because they're going to want to get money back somehow from some of these games. You know what I mean? So if they do start to release these games day and date, you might see microtransactions. Has that occurred to you? Have you thought about that? Do you think I'm onto something there maybe?
Maybe you are. I'm not 100% certain on that. I think that Sony at this point knows that they've been in first place for a long while now, and they've been releasing these very, very extremely high quality first party titles. I think they would be blind to not see that as the reason as to why they're, ahead of the pack. And it would be very disappointing to see that, that's for sure. But I'm in agreement. I'm interested to see how long they're going to wait to put games on this service. When God of War Ragnarok releases later this holiday, at what point are we going to see that on this service? Right. So that's going to be an interesting sort of decision-making process for Sony. At what point do we do it?
Would you want to see God of War Ragnarok day and date on the service?
Hell yeah, I would. That game looks amazing. I don't think we're going to see microtransactions in God of War Ragnarok.
I don't think you're going to see it. But what I'm getting at is Sony, they've already said it. They're not going to release first-party games on day one on these platforms, on these subscription services. You're gonna have to pay full price. Would you prefer it if God of War Ragnarok was available on PlayStation Plus day one?
It's a good question. I don't want to see it. I think I'm in agreement with you. Okay. I think that would compromise.
I thought you said yes.
Compromise the quality. No.
Said yes.
I thought you were referring to God of War Ragnarok as I know it right now. That game looks incredible. Like, okay, if they've released that day one, I'm cool with that. Like right now, but I guess when you look at it from that perspective, I think I'm in agreement though overall.
Yeah, because
I don't want to see a consistent. No, I don't want to see these games day one. It could compromise quality in the long term for sure.
yeah, I'll be honest. I don't even fully know why, and you might not either. But I just, like you said, I know. I just have a feeling it will, like you said, compromise quality. It just will. It just will because we already have the case study, which is Microsoft, and you look at stuff like Halo Infinite, which I don't know much about, but I know that it was on their Game Pass subscription service and it wasn't received super positively, and that's their biggest release that they've had in years. So I don't want that to happen to Sony because we like PlayStation for those boutique game experiences that you've already mentioned. Do you have anything else to say on this? I'm exhausted talking about this.
No, I think we're both in agreement here that this is a very nice complimentary service to offer, I suppose. I don't think either of us see the value in the third tier. To be honest, I don't see myself. I guess I see the value, but I don't see myself, long term going past tier one. To be honest with you, so I think we're both in agreement here. We don't want to see day one games released, for the most part on the service because that could compromise quality for sure.
So a couple quick things that I want to touch on that I realized we do have to talk more about this PlayStation Plus thing because it's news and we need to cover it, even though I hate to. Trophies are coming to some of these PlayStation Classics. That was confirmed by Sony Ben's Twitter, that Siphon Filter will have trophies added to it. This is from Sony Ben. They say, incoming from Ben Studio, agency Intel reports that Siphon Filter will include trophies when it arrives on the all-new PlayStation Plus. And they have a little video there too. So that's a PS1 game. More games are supposedly to come down the pipeline. That would be the assumption at least. Do you have anything to say about that, the PlayStation Classics trophy situation?
Cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think either of us are really into that aspect of the service. I don't think that's really a huge selling point for me, but for those trophy hunters out there, I think it's pretty cool, especially if you're a long time PlayStation consumer that has a deep appreciation for those games. Yeah, it gives you a reason to go out there and replay them, right? For the extra whatever it is, $5 a month. I think it's a cool thing to offer for sure.
Sure. And last but not least, on Ubisoft.com, news.ubisoft.com, it is reported that Ubisoft Plus, which is Ubisoft's new game subscription service, it will be offered on PlayStation Plus, Extra, and Premium. It will be bundled in. And some of the games that are included in there are Assassin's Creed Valhalla, For Honor, The Crew 2, Child of Light, Eagle Flight, Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon, Far Cry 3, Remaster, Far Cry 4. So Sony's pulling from the same well on their blog post. So this just reiterates, I guess, what Sony had already had on their list of games. But pretty much it looks like it's 1-to-1. If you could play it on Ubisoft Plus, you can play it on PlayStation Plus, Extra or Premium. Can we move on, please?
You know what? Just for you, I'll leave my comments to myself so we can get the hell out of this topic. Let's get the hell out of this PlayStation Plus subscription service that's giving both of us a headache, as I'm sure the audience.
Yes, I think that's a fair guess. So, next topic. Sigh of relief. The Spec Ops: The Line Rider, which is a game that came out on PC. I believe it was it PC only? Spec Ops: The Line? Sorry for the typing. Spec Ops: The Line. Nope, it was on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 as well. This is a game that sort of shows the tragedies of war. It came out all the way back in 2012. It's a highly regarded, critically acclaimed game. So the writer on Spec Ops: The Line was promoted to the narrative director on the new Wolverine game from Insomniac. So this is according to PlayStationLifestyle.net. So this game, Wolverine, PS5, is being developed by Insomniac while they're also working on Spider-Man 2. Um, this studio, in my opinion, is the gold standard. I think they've surpassed Naughty Dog. I think Insomniac is bringing something new to the table. Every single game they put out, we have the new Ratchet and Clank, we have the Spider-Man games, we have this Wolverine game. I think Insomniac is it. What do you have to say on the new Wolverine game? What would you like to see, Vinny? Just talk to me about this.
This is certainly one of my most anticipated games, upcoming games. I think the one aspect about this game that we'll probably be in agreement on as to, enhances that excitement level is that it's going to be rated M based on the article that was coming out. This is going to be an R-rated Logan-esque Wolverine, right? Where we're going to see blood, we're going to see, Wolverine dicing some people up. I'm very excited, and like you said, Insomniac, particularly over the last 2 years, has just proven to be an exceptional, if not probably the best first-party studio that Sony has right now. I think I'm in agreement there from the overall quality of their games and just the way that they're cranking these things out, man.
I know.
It's insane.
Do you think they're better than Naughty Dog?
Goodness.
If you had to pick one, if you had to pick one studio that represented PlayStation, do you pick Naughty Dog or do you pick Insomniac? Or do you pick something else?
Oh my goodness, it's such a tough call. Because if we were going to sit here and say, am I more excited for a Naughty Dog game to come out this year or an Insomniac game to come out this year, I would probably say a Naughty Dog game. Okay. Because Naughty Dog games typically take a long time to create. There's a lot more, not to say that Insomniac games aren't polished, but there's a certain level to those Naughty Dog games that I think that we would both agree from just a graphical fidelity standpoint is a little bit more because those are in the oven for a long time. The Last of Us Two took 5. The level of detail in The Last of Us 2 is more than anything that Insomniac has put out. I would certainly make that argument.
I actually disagree with that. I think Rift Apart is one of the most graphically impressive games I've ever played, ever. It is unbelievably, incredible visually.
Rift Apart was also made for PlayStation 5. Naughty Dog hasn't had its chance at a PlayStation 5 game.
Right.
So, and also I would say the level of detail from just an animation standpoint, everything from graphical design, everything in the Naughty Dog games, from The Last of Us 2 in particular, I think is better. And I think we're kind of, we're grasping at straws here comparing these two studios. We really are. Because I don't think... Let's go back to the Wolverine game, because I am ecstatic about this game. I got to be honest with you. This is certainly one of my most anticipated games. Like you said, so I guess they lost their original narrative director. I'm curious to see why he left. Again, I'm not overly concerned because Insomniac just has a reputation right now. They put out amazing games on a consistent basis. Very rarely that I could even think of in the last 10 years have they had a flop, something that is commercially not praised, right? So this to me is really exciting. I'm curious to see when this game's going to come out. I'm starting to think it's going to come out next year because typically Insomniac games, they quickly release those things after announcing them, and this was announced last year to my knowledge, right? So I would think sometime next year we're going to see this game, and I'm ecstatic for it for sure.
Yeah, I think the Logan comparison is a good one. I think that's an awesome. I think if it's anything like the movie Logan, it's a step in the right direction. Although I do hope that Insomniac keeps some of its jovial charm that you see in the Spider-Man games and the Ratchet and Clank games, because to deny us that would I don't think it would serve Insomniac well, because they are a studio that has an inherent charm to it, and I'm sure they'll find their way to put their Insomniac charm in those games. This is the other reason why I believe Insomniac is sort of transcending Naughty Dog. The Last of Us remake 2. I don't know how to say this. They're remaking The Last of Us 1 again. Naughty Dog is. It's not a different developer. Naughty Dog is remaking The Last of Us again, using their resources to do this. I'm sure they're working on other stuff too, but they're using their resources to remake a game that is several years old again. Vinny, you brought this one up to me, so I'm going to give you the floor on Last of Us Remake 2. That's what I'm calling it, Last of Us Remake 2. What do you got?
Okay, so let me walk you through this part, through what I was going through with this story.
Okay.
I think that we had briefly touched on this, perhaps in the last episode or our first episode, where we talked about them remaking the original Last of Us, and both of us were in disagreement with that concept. We were both like, why would you do this? There's no point in doing it. It was just released. They just remastered The Last of Us, not too long ago. And then I decided, following this story, that it's officially happening. This is not a fake story. This is about 95% confirmation that we're getting this year. We're going to get a Last of Us remake from Naughty Dog at this holiday season. My first thought was, when did we get The Last of Us remastered? And I looked it up. That game came out 8.5 years ago, Anthony. 8.5 years ago, so damn near a decade. It's been almost a decade since we've played The Last of Us. I don't know about you. I have not played it since the remastered version came out. Have not touched it. And even then, I was thinking, no, this game doesn't deserve it. Why are we doing this again? The game's already perfect. Why are we touching this? Then I kind of thought to myself, is Naughty Dog really a studio that we want to question? Or are they one of those studios that we can, I don't want to say put blind faith in, but I think that this is a studio that we can reasonably say has a great decision-making process that only puts out outstanding games. I know that a lot of people had issues with The Last of Us 2 and the narrative direction that it took, but I think that everybody can mutually kind of agree that is an outstandingly made game. I think that game in and of itself, from just a gameplay standpoint, even from just not necessarily the context of its narrative, but in the way that it tells its story, it's an just an amazingly made game. This is one of those studios, man, that who am I to second guess what they're doing here? There has to be a reason why they're doing this. There has to be something that me and you do not know about, that the decision makers at Naughty Dog said, this is why we have to do this. Look at how different this is going to look. This is going to be a huge release. I'm actually genuinely looking forward to replaying The Last of Us. I was kind of thinking to myself, like, do I remember a lot of this story? No, I really don't. I remember some of the bigger plot points, but some of the older ones, some of the smaller ones, not so much. It's a top 5 game of all time. I think both of us agree. It's certainly a top 10 game of all time. But there has to be something that me and you are not seeing. There just has to be. I want to see this game in action. I really do. I'm curious to see what this game is going to look like. And then on top of that, I think that it had been known that Naughty Dog has been working on a multiplayer concept over the last few years. It purportedly has been a Last of Us multiplayer concept. And I know you think of multiplayer, and I'm sure you're nodding your head over there like, oh God, why do we need multiplayer in The Last of Us? The original Last of Us has a criminally underplayed and undervalued multiplayer component to it. The original Last of Us, I put probably 40 hours into that multiplayer. It is outstanding. And to be honest with you, I think we dabbled a little bit in Uncharted's multiplayer. It was pretty good. The Uncharted 2's multiplayer, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was the one that we kind of dove a little bit into. But The Last of Us had a criminally underplayed and undervalued multiplayer component to it. And I think that people that played that multiplayer will attest to that. I am really looking forward to seeing what they do with this Last of Us multiplayer concept. I'm curious to see if is it going to launch alongside this remake? Are they going to bundle this remake with The Last of Us 2? Are they going to try to upgrade that? Let me just put it this way. I'm excited, but I'm hesitantly excited in a way. I want to see what this looks like before I go out there and say you're making a mistake. I want to see what this game is. I want to see what the value proposition is here. Because if this is a game that looks night and day from the original, I'm in. I'm going to play it, and I'll be looking forward to it. And I'm sure, like you said, that Naughty Dog's probably making something in the background right now on top of this. So I'm excited about this. I don't think that Naughty Dog's one of those studios that we could sit here and yell at, because they've never put out a game of bad quality before. They've never had a dud, so to speak. Like I said, I know The Last of Us 2, people had issues with that narrative. I get it. But when you actually look at the game as a whole, it's an excellently made game. So I think we got to trust this studio for right now, and I'm curious to see what this is going to look like. It's certainly on my radar. What are your thoughts on what I said?
You're right. You're absolutely right. Naughty Dog hasn't had a dud in over 20 years. If you go, I was just looking at their catalog of games, and if you want to say Jack X Racing is a dud, which it's not, but it's probably their worst received game since that much time has passed, then it's 20 years since they've had a dud. It's it's pretty incredible, and you're right. We do deserve to give a studio like that credit. I'm sorry. One quick correction. Jack X Combat Racing came out in 2005, so that would be roughly 17 years. But you see my point. It's that's a long time to go without having a game flop. Like you were saying, The Last of Us 2 story was received with mixed reviews, but I, like you said, also you can't argue the excellent quality that game provides. It's a great game. I think that you're convincing me to be less skeptical about this, because we should trust Naughty Dog because they've earned it after this many years. And I've been a huge fan of Naughty Dog since Crash Bandicoot. I loved Jak and Daxter and Jak 2. They have a very good track record with me. Like we discussed a little bit off air, The Last of Us 2 isn't necessarily my favorite game that they've released, but it's an excellent game. It is. The Last of Us 1 is certainly one of my favorite games ever. Again, it didn't make my top 10 list because of Uncharted 2, but that's a story for another day. Some really sound points that you made there, Vinny. What do you think about the multiplayer? They've kind of kept it under wraps, but I'm pretty sure it's been 100% confirmed. Well, no, it is, because it was supposed to come out with The Last of Us 2. What do you think about the multiplayer aspect? What do you think?
I'm very excited. I am. I'm excited to see what Naughty Dog now, who hasn't released any forms of a multiplayer game in probably a decade since the original Last of Us came out, not the PS4 remake, but the original Last of Us on PS3, which was 10 years ago up to this point. I'm sure, at least close to that point.
9-ish, yeah.
Nine years ago.
Uncharted 4 didn't have multiplayer?
No, not to my knowledge. It didn't have any sort of multiplayer component. No,
Uncharted 4 didn't have. I guess you're right. Wow.
Uncharted 4 didn't have multiplayer. Yeah, they opted to exclude multiplayer from that game, which I think was probably the right call. That's an amazing game as well. But it seems like this has been in the making for a very long time, this multiplayer component that Naughty Dog is working on. We've known they announced that they were working on this prior to releasing The Last of Us 2. So there has been something cooking there that we
Right.
just don't know what it is. And if Naughty Dog is releasing a multiplayer game, I'm almost hesitant to say this because I don't like blindly following studios and blindly just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna buy whatever they release." Right? I especially after what happened with Cyberpunk when people were just like, "Oh man, CD
That's a good
Projekt
point.
Red can do no wrong," right? And then now look at where they're at. But man, if there's a studio that I trust to make a high quality multiplayer game, I'm interested to see what they do, man. I gotta be honest. We've seen them do the single player route. We've had The Last of Us, Uncharted 2. What was it? It was The Last of Us, then they made Uncharted 4, then they did The Last of Us Part 2. We've seen 3 games back to back to back, outstanding quality of games. Let's let this team do something else. Let's let them experiment a little bit here. It seems like they're really into this multiplayer game because, quite frankly, like I just said, it's been in the making for years. So I
Yeah.
don't think this is going to be a cash grab. I don't think that this is the studio that is likely to do something like that. So it's certainly on my radar and one of my more anticipated titles. And like you said, I think we're both skeptical of a Last of Us remake, but given the tier that Naughty Dog is at, I just think there's something that we do not know right now that we're going to see whenever they announce this game. They're going to show us why we need to have this remake, why they decided to do this. And maybe there was some sort of demo that was put together internally and they were like, we have to release this. This is too good. This is we were just talking about Unreal Engine 5 and how insane these games are looking. I'm interested, man. I really am, and I'm happy that you're kind of turning around on it to some degree. I think we're both equally skeptical, so to speak, but we're also curious. I think I'm just curious right now. I'm not willing to
definitely
put it off yet.
curious.
Yeah,
I'm definitely curious. I am on the more skeptical side, but I am either way. I'm curious because it's Naughty Dog, and you gave them a glowing review right now, and we obviously feel very high on their content. I'm going to go back to playing devil's advocate. The main concern that I have is that Sony is forcing this game to happen because of the HBO series.
That's an excellent point, man. I really didn't even think of the HBO series, and that's referenced in this article. Is that the upcoming HBO series? Yeah, and it's going to launch alongside the upcoming HBO series. Like, I'm going to watch the HBO series, and perhaps we'll talk about it on this podcast. Just to maybe we'll have kind of like a sideshow on it since it's PlayStation related. But that is certainly a fear. I could easily see that happening. Sony going to Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog's been working on the multiplayer forever now. Sony says to them, we can't just release the multiplayer. We can't release just a multiplayer game. You got to give us something else. We'll bundle that with a remake of The Last of Us. I agree with you. Is this going to stink of corporate? I don't think it will because like we said, I think we trust in Naughty Dog to do the right thing. And I think Sony's pretty good at letting their studios do what they want. To my knowledge, it seems like they're on a roll in terms of their first party games. So yeah, that fear is definitely there, and we'll find out when we're playing the game. We'll know. I think we'll know when we're playing it. Was this worth it? So
yeah,
definitely a good point to make though, because that HBO series is coming, and I didn't even think of that aspect of it because maybe that does make me a little fearful for sure.
Yeah. It sounds like we're both taking the wait and see approach. You're on the less skeptical end of it, though. I'm a little more skeptical. This is the last thing I'll say, and then we'll move on. I just hate to see that kind of talent. They have the highest level of talent waste their time on a remake. That's my frustration. That's the biggest reason I'm frustrated. There's no doubt it won't be anything less than good, because they're very talented. It's just I don't like to see those resources being used on something like that when they should be able to do whatever they want. And if this is whatever they want, which I don't think it is, I think Sony's pushing for it, then we'll wait and see. But moving on. Did you want to talk about the Red Dead Redemption 2 remaster? Or you said you had some stuff to talk about that, but
No, I sent you this article, the Red Dead Redemption sort of bundle that is purportedly in the making. I wanted to get your input on it because we've been discussing a lot about remasters, remakes. This is another one that I'm excited about. I got to be honest with you, man. This is my favorite game of all time. It ran at a sluggish pace on PS4. It ran at 30 FPS. At this point, I'm so spoiled with the PS5 and running games at a nice clean 60 FPS. And I can't wait to replay the original Red Dead Redemption. This is a game that has not been remastered in any way. And I wanted to get your take on this. When this game comes out, will you give Red Dead Redemption another shot? I know you gave it a chance before. Does this pique your interest, Anthony? Is this something that you're gonna consider actually playing?
oh wow, so they're remaking the first game too? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's purportedly going to be sold together as a bundle, the Red Dead Redemption
Okay.
bundle, right? Whatever they want to make it. Purportedly coming out soon. Don't know if it's this year, probably next year if I were to guess, because they just did GTA a few months back, so it'll probably be sometime next year. Is this enough to kind of get you to go back into those games and maybe give it another shot? And also another question, because I know you played the original Red Dead, and I know we both played this. I'm curious to see if that zombies mode for Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be, if that zombies DLC, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The Red
probably
Dead
not.
Undead or whatever it was called. That was great DLC. That
I
was
would
a
love to
great
see it.
campaign. I don't know if that would be fantastic.
I would love to see it, but probably not. They probably have you know, bigger fish to fry, as they say. I this is the problem. Again, I've brought this up on previous episodes. I'll bring it up one more time right now. I can't play Red Dead Redemption 2 now. I am forced to wait for the next gen update now. You were giving it such high praise and you were convincing me you need to play this. You absolutely have to finish this game, see it through to the end. I can't do it now. Now I have to, not only do I have to start the game over, I have to wait at least 6 months for them to remaster this before I can play. Because now that I know, just like you said, I'm too spoiled to go back to 30 FPS, even though I'm more of the resolution guy and you're more of the frame rate guy. If I know that I'm playing an inferior version, I'm just going to opt to wait. So it sucks. It sucks when you're in a position like mine where it sounds kind of lame. Oh no, I have to wait for the next gen version. Oh, woe is me. But you know what I'm saying. It's just annoying. It's annoying. It's a good problem to have. I suppose it's a good problem to have. I
I was
shouldn't be
going to say,
complaining.
Anthony, I'm actually pretty jealous that you get to go into this game, which I'm going to force you to play. You got to play this game.
Okay.
You're going to get the best version of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm probably going to replay it right alongside you the second that this is released.
Really?
And I'm jealous, man. You're going to get the best version of this game. I think it's going to look outstanding. I know this game was released on PC and it runs at 60 FPS. And from what I've seen of that version, it looks, insane. So definitely something that's on our radar for sure. Definitely on my radar. I'm happy that you're at least willing to perhaps dive back into these games when it does come out.
Yeah, that sounds like something I'm probably gonna do. But like I said, I'll just wait. I will wait. So that is pretty much it for the major talking points. We have a for your consideration segment to go over here now, which I'm very excited for. But first and foremost, before Vinny, your category was platformer, and I chose Crash 4 for you to play. And for those of you who don't know, For Your Consideration is a segment that we do every week where we pick a game for each other to play based on a specific category of game. And we get 2 weeks to play it. We come back, we give our impressions, and we give a quote-unquote review. And then we move on and we do it again. And it's just for us to sort of recommend games to each other and fill our video game blind spots, for lack of a better term. Anyway, Vinny got Crash 4. Before we get into that, I want to go over the next category. The next category that we're going to be playing is, and you picked this one, Vinny, right? Because I picked a lot. Yeah, you picked this one.
I did.
Shooter.
I did.
Shooter. So, Vinny, I'm going to give you your next game right now because the Crash 4 review is going to have some spoilers. So, the way I see it, if you don't want to hear the Crash 4 spoilers, you can just drop off at the end of the podcast. I mean, before the end of the podcast, right here. This is our last segment. So, thank you so much for listening. But if you don't want Crash 4 spoilers, you can leave now. See you later.
See you guys.
The game I'm going to give you is none other than Deathloop.
Wow. All right. Okay.
Have you played Deathloop?
It's interesting that you picked this game. My history with Deathloop is quite complex, but I'll tell it in one sentence. I have played this game for a total of, I think, an hour and a half. So I kind of dabbled in it, but it didn't really get its hooks in me yet, and then I got sidetracked. So this is awesome. I get an excuse to go back into that game. I paid $70 fucking on this game, so now I get to go in there and play it again.
That's that awesome. The complex part that you paid $70 and you never got to play it?
That's where things get a little bit complex because I paid $70 for that game and I did not play it at all. So no, that's awesome. That's an interesting one for sure. I'm excited to.
That first couple of hours, it's a little overwhelming, but once you get past the first few hours of the game and you really get a feel for what they're trying to do, you're gonna love it, man. I really think you're gonna like this game. So I'm really excited for you to play it. But Crash 4, spoiler alert coming up. Is there anything you want to say on this game before we get into spoiler territory for anybody else that maybe just wants a heads up on Crash 4 before we do a deep dive?
Sure. Yeah. So spoiler free. This game is awesome, man. What a pleasant surprise this game was. That's why I'm so excited about this part of our podcast. We get the opportunity to play games that that maybe we missed or, we just didn't even know about. You know me, I'm a huge platform fan. I said that in our top 10 games list, that's my favorite genre of game. And this game just pleasantly surprised me. Not just pleasantly. I mean, we're talking top tier platforming here. We're talking an extraordinary level design. This game, let me just say this first of all. This game is hard as fuck. This game is so hard. This game is insanely hard, and I won't get into spoilers, but if you're going into Crash 4, brace yourself, because this game is one of the hardest platformers, if not the hardest platformer I've ever played. It is so punishingly, it is unforgivingly brutal, this game, particularly towards the later half, but my goodness. The one thing that was going through my head as I was playing through this game is, man, I didn't even play the first 3 Crash games, but could you imagine if you were just a longtime fan? What a love letter this must have been to Crash fans. This game, man, from a level design perspective, it is so, first of all, the game's beautiful. It is a gorgeous game.
Yeah.
Graphically, it looks like I love this sort of style that we're kind of getting into with games like Ratchet and Clank and now Crash. Obviously, I think they did the Spyro Reignited trilogy, that sort of graphical fidelity of you feel like you're in a Pixar movie.
Right.
This game is basically that. It is so stunning, this game. It is almost distracting how some of the settings that you go to, you're almost looking at the backgrounds and you forget that the game is hard as shit and you're dying all the time because you're distracted by the background. That happened to me throughout the entire game. That would happen to me.
All right. But man, really quickly, spoiler alert. Let's do a deep dive now because I feel the passion. I feel it coming through. Spoiler alert. Yeah. We're going to do a deep dive. And again, we're not going to, spoil major plot points. You could probably hang out for this part too. It's not going to be too bad, but I just wanted to make sure I was the considerate enough person to give a spoiler alert just in case.
Yeah.
Because other games we play might have more spoiler territory than this. This is just a fun time, this game. There's really not too much to spoil. Okay. Continue.
Yeah. Thanks for that, because I was totally going to spoil the final boss. I was just about to. No, I'm just kidding. The final boss of this game is fucking awesome, though. I will say this, and you know what? I will say, just spoiler alert. I don't know if you remember the final boss of this game.
No more saying spoiler alert. We did that. I'm done. It's cliche now. Let's
Okay,
go.
fine.
Go. Just talk. Go.
This game. I mean, you're absolutely right. This game you have a smile on your face the entire time that you're playing it. One thing that this game does that I wrote down, it makes you feel like you're really good at it at times, and then 2 seconds later, you'll feel like you're shit at it. You're terrible at it. It makes you feel like you're amazing 1 second, and it does a great job of that because you're in a rhythm. You're flying through these levels, and the next second you're dying 20 times to the same fucking person. This game is an exceptional platformer, man. It essentially every level presents you with an obstacle, and then it builds off of that initial obstacle. It kind of stacks things, so to speak. It goes, okay, here's an enemy that explodes, when you touch it. Well, now all of a sudden he's flying at you, and also here's an element that we showed you 2 levels ago that's going to be incorporated, and so on and so forth. And it kind of builds to something that's really special, man. I think that this game, it has certain. It's gonna sound like I'm gonna sound like I'm nitpicky because I want a Crash 5 so bad. I'm a massive Crash fan after playing this.
Wow.
There are certain elements that I think that could be improved, and I'm actually curious if you had this problem, because I don't even think that this is something they can improve on, and perhaps this is something that's been an issue with me and Crash throughout my childhood. Did you feel at times that maybe the 3D, when the game would go to 3D, that it was maybe a little off, that you were missing platforms that you shouldn't have been missing? Is that something that's normal? Was I the only person that's feeling this? I couldn't get over sometimes that I would die. It's because I'm just missing these 3D obstacles because I don't have a good sense of where I am on the map. Is that something that would happen to you from time to time?
Yeah. I think that's the nature of the beast, though, so to speak. I think that, first of all, I think you need to play the other Crash games. I think you would appreciate them after playing this. I really do. Some of the levels are even harder because you don't have all those masks and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely in all of the games some sort of a transitional. I don't know how to explain it properly, but you definitely have to feel that transition out when you go from 2D to 3D, and I think that that's part of the challenge. I don't think that you're doing anything where it's glitching, in my opinion at least, where the game's glitching or you're missing a jump because the jump button didn't work. I think it's more of just your brain adjusting from going from 2D to 3D, and that's part of the game as far as I can understand it, as far as in my opinion, I would say.
Yeah, that was just something that kind of stuck out to me, particularly very early on. That was prevalent. I think as you kind of play the game, you get used to those aspects of the 3D platforming. You get used to, how far Crash jumps, and it does a nice job of kind of, having that circle underneath Crash. I don't know if you remember, but it'll kind of highlight where he's going to land.
Yeah,
so you have that sort of that sort of that help from the game developers. But I think this is who's the developer of Crash 4? I want to say it was Toys for Bob. You see their icon. Right. Man, a studio that I just had never heard of. And I kind of looked at what they did. They did the Spyro Reignited trilogy. They actually, to my knowledge, did not do the Crash trilogy, the remake that they did.
You don't know who did
that? Was it
the Crash? No, they did. Oh, I thought you were saying the original Crash games. I was like, you don't know who did the original Crash games?
No, I'm talking about the remake. No, the remake. I don't think that they did the remake, Anthony. I think they did the Spyro Reignited trilogy, and then they did this game, to my knowledge. And then they do Skylanders. So a studio, even if they did that Crash trilogy, and you can confirm or deny that. They did?
They did.
Okay,
they did.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that on the list that I was looking at. Perhaps I was uncredible source that I was looking at. But anyways, even with that being said, a studio that I hadn't really heard of, to be honest with you, man, what an outstanding job that they did here. Another thing that kind of stood out to me in this game, the animations of and the level, or not the level design, the character models, so to speak. The enemies are creative, right? And I don't know if you remember dying in this game, but there are like unique animations whenever you get killed by certain characters, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, there's like these dumpster people. Like I actually beat the game this morning, and there's these dumpster people, and when they catch you, they'll toss you in their dumpster, right? Like it's the funniest thing whenever you die in this game, because there's unique sort of animations to each death. But man, I cannot emphasize how surprised I was by Crash 4. I'm so happy that you recommended this game to me. The other thing, the last thing that I guess I'll touch on here is, what did you think about this game's difficulty? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I loved the difficulty up until the last world, if not last 2 worlds. And perhaps this game is so fucking hard, man. I reached a point where I wanted to throw my controller at a wall. It is one of those games that is, it is so unforgiving. It is so fucking hard. That is why I cannot recommend this to everyone. I think that I think that if you play this game, you're likely to reach the end, because it's just that good. But man, those last 2 worlds, dude, when you have all the masks and you know what they do, and the game just throws everything at you, everything that you've seen in the past. It is so hard though. It is.
I loved it.
Punishing.
In my opinion, that's what made the game so special. Was combining all the masks at the end and having you take on what you've learned and saying, we're not holding anything back here. You need to I remember one of the last levels in the game where you have to switch from the mask that makes things translucent. You know what I'm talking about? The blue mask. Yes. You go from the blue mask to the red mask to the upside down mask, all in one. And then isn't there one that makes you like run on walls?
No, it doesn't make you run on walls. It flips everything upside down.
It flips everything upside down, and you're running on walls upside down or something like that. It's been a while since I played, but you have to do all the 3 of the masks and before you even hit a platform and get to like catch your breath.
Yeah,
it's nuts. It's so cool. I loved the difficulty. Did you play it on retro or modern?
So that was another element of this game that stood out to me, because when you recommended this game, you told me to play it on retro.
Yeah.
Now, me, the stupid ass that I am, I played it on modern, not even thinking anything of it. I was like, whatever. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. It's something with coins. I thought it was like some collectible thing. I was like, whatever. You know, I'm going to play this modern. I'm not a retro guy. I'm going to play it modern. And one of the things that was standing out to me was, man, this game's very generous with just letting me die as much as I fucking want to. I was like, man, like, damn, like this is actually, it's hard, but it's easy in that sense that I have unlimited respawns. And then I actually had mentioned this to you a week ago, I think, and I was like, man, it's kind of bizarre that this game lets me respawn as much as I want. And you were like, well, you're playing in retro mode, right? So then I switched to retro mode, and the entire game my goodness, it got so much harder. It got just so punishingly more difficult. You had to memorize the levels. I probably played 20% of this game retro, 80% modern. And I got to be honest, I had a blast playing it from the modern setting. I really did. And on top of that, I thought it was extremely difficult in that setting as well. So I think it's a nice sort of choice for the player. For me, the last 2 levels, I had to play modern. There was no way I was getting through them by the time that I had to review this or discuss this with you. There was just not a chance. It was so hard. There was a level that I died like 45 times. I could not beat it. That was particularly the I think it was the second to last level, when they're just, man, and like you said, they have you just flipping between the masks in the same sequence. So you have to like remember what each mask does. Insane. Here's another thing that stood out to me. Let me ask you this. What did you think about And here's one thing that I could say this game could improve on. The music. I think this game could have better music. There are levels in which, for this game, that are amazing because of the music. There's
Yeah.
one where you're going through a carnival-like sort of situation, and it is
Oh yeah.
outstanding. It is so cool, the carnival level, because the enemies are singing as you're kind of killing them, and when you're killing them, the music kind of changes based on that, and the music will change based on your movements. It is so unique. It's so much fun. But there were certain levels where I didn't even listen to the music. Like, the music was kind of pissing me off. If anything, it was kind of annoying me, and maybe that's
Really?
because I was dying over and over again. But I think I think that's an opportunity for Toys for Bob to maybe get, to improve upon, get some, so we come from Donkey Kong Country, some games that have special music, and I think that even the game that I recommended you, Celeste, I think music has a lot to do with why that game's so great. I think it's outstanding. So the earlier levels it's very Crash, the music, and it's very jungle themed, and you're kind of, I think there's room for improvement there. What do you think about that? Just kind of curious if that was something that you thought of while you were playing. What'd you think of the music?
I didn't think about the music too much. I do remember there were some standout tracks that I really liked. The thing that I remember about the soundtrack more than that, and I don't even think it's not really the soundtrack, but just like the ambient noise around you, is when the bosses are talking to you while you're playing. And I guess I didn't really feel like anything was missing there as far as the music, because we got that. We had the bosses saying like, "Oh, you're not going to beat this section," haha, laughing in your face, and then you beat the section, and then they go, "How did you beat that section? It wasn't supposed to be possible." And I thought that was a really cool touch. Do you remember that? It was more specifically I think the first couple of worlds had that more. Like the main bad guy of that area, the main boss of that area would have, he would talk to you throughout the levels. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it happens all the time. I think in each individual boss battle, there's always some sayings. I know in the final boss battle, which I think is amazing, by the way. I think it's an outstanding final boss for a video game. Neo Cortex using all of the masks against you, and all of them, and all of the
Oh
elements of
yeah.
the masks are. It's kind of like the tables have turned, and he's sitting there like, he'll take the time one, and he'll be like, let's slow things down for a little bit. You know what I mean? And he kind of,
Yeah.
he kind of jokes around about these masks. I think it's. And by the way, let me just say this: I'm happy that Neo Cortex ended up being the final villain. I was a little upset
Me
at
too.
first, because it seemed like he wasn't going to be the main villain, because you were kind of playing as him, and they were kind of partnering up, so to speak. And then at the end, in the last second, he just turns on you, and it's hilarious. But that's another aspect of this game too that stood out to me. I thought I beat it like 4 times, and this fucking game kept going. I'm like, holy shit, there's so many levels in this game.
Yeah,
And
the
they
story's
just,
great.
it is great, and it's a lot of fun. It's very charming. It is, and it's just so funny. I think me and you would mutually agree here. If we were kids and we had this game, oh my goodness, this would be a classic, right? We would be talking to this in the same breath that we talk about Donkey Kong Country, and I do. I think this is top tier level platforming. I firmly believe that, even with its minor, even with the issues with the 3D platforming that I would have from time to time. That's not anything particular. Like you said, that's nature of the beast. That's just
Right.
based on the game. There's nothing that Toys for Bob could really do about that. I don't necessarily think there is a fix for that. But man, this game is outstanding. I don't want to give it a number grade. I know we're not doing number grades, right? I don't want to give it a number grade.
We don't. If you feel like you want to, you can, but I don't think that's required.
I'm not going to. I'm gonna refrain from giving a number grade. Guys, go play Crash 4. This game is amazing. I can't say enough good things about it. I think anyone that probably has played this game has been pleasantly surprised at the very least. It would be hard to not enjoy yourself while you're playing this game until the last 2 worlds. Then you're going to start throwing your fucking controller at the wall like I did. I swear, man, I was getting so frustrated. I really was. I was getting really mad.
Really?
Like, this is so, I had to step away from the game for a little bit. Like, it was so it is punishing, those last 2 worlds.
It is.
It's punishing.
I like that they don't hold back any punches, though. I really do. Because we come from the era of games being difficult. And then we went through this little phase in the mid 2000s and the early 2010s where games were so easy. And then you get Demon Souls 2009. That was an exception, I guess. But that game wasn't really, super hot, let's say. It wasn't even really until Dark Souls, in my opinion, that game's difficulty truly became more appreciated again. Dark Souls put hard games back on the map. I'm so happy games are hard again because I like games that make you use all the mechanics that they give you. I think that's important. And like you said, Crash 4 lets you build on those things by level design. It's really brilliant. And I think Toys for Bob, they knocked it out of the park, man. I mean, they remastered the first 3 Crash games. They remastered the Spyro game, and they were given this IP and given what seems like free reign to actually do their own thing. And I think they crushed it. I really do. I'm so happy you loved it too. I figured you would.
I did. I really did. I love this game. I cannot wait for Crash 5 now. I think both of us are on the same boat there. Please make a Crash 5 and make sure Toys for Bob is doing it. They have earned every bit of it. There is not a level in this game that doesn't impress me in some way. They are, and that's another thing. This game's not, there's no repetitiveness to this game, to any of the platforming elements. None at all. Every level has its own unique set of platforms, or has its own unique level design. It's insane. It is almost mind-boggling just the different types of different elements that are in this game, the different challenges that they give you. It is insane, man. They really did knock this one out of the park. Complete stunner. I cannot believe how good this game is. Game that I would have never have bought, never have purchased, because I've never been into Crash. And just out of curiosity, what made you get this game?
The first 3 Crashes. Crash 1 is one of my earliest PlayStation memories. It's when I heard Crash 4 was coming out, I was so excited. They had PS2 games too. They were okay. They're okay. They weren't anything great, but I played them all. I played all the Crash games. I played Crash Racing. I love Crash. So it's Naughty Dog's first game that really put them on the map. Playing Crash 1 and Uncharted 4 is really fun. That was so cool. I thought that was such a cool little detail. And now, unfortunately, to wrap it all up, Activision owns Crash. Microsoft owns Activision. If they do make a Crash 5, does it come to PlayStation?
It better. It better. They better not do that. That would be, man, that would stink. That would really... Yeah, there's no way. There's no way that they can make that maybe they do. Maybe they do, to kind of send a message like, yeah, we took this from you. We took this IP from you. This was known as this is kind of a PlayStation mascot, and we took it. So, man, that's interesting. I actually didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't think that they will, though. I don't.
I hope they don't. I know they're not doing it with Call of Duty.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing it with Call of Duty. I think that Crash, obviously not as big as Call of Duty, but man, that would be a real dirty, a slap in the face to Sony. Yeah, that would really stink. That would be messed up if they did that. But they have the right to.
They absolutely.
That's a good point. That'll be something to keep our eyes on, because the hope is that this game did good enough. And from what I saw, I kind of did some research on how it sold. It sounds like it did really well commercially. So that's exciting. So they're definitely going to make a 5th one, I think. And yeah, man, that stinks for Sony. You're kind of at the expense of whatever Microsoft decides.
Yeah, so totally.
That's a very valid point. Very good point.
I will say, not to continue being a bummer, but another studio that Sony will never see again, Bethesda.
Yeah. Wow.
They made a little game called Deathloop, and that's your next game. So let me know in 2 weeks what you think of Deathloop. You have 2 weeks. You have 24 hours.
You're getting me into all these games only for them to never come out.
You remember that from The Office?
What's that?
You have he goes, you have 1 week. You have 24 hours.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, I do.
All right, everyone.
Oh,
That is
geez.
it for this episode of PS Blue. On our next episode, I will be reviewing Celeste. If you stuck around this long, thank you so much. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm not going to plug any more than that. That's the only plugging I wish to do. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will make videos every week, and you will be happy with them. Anything else to say, Vinny?
No, that's it. One thing. Nickelodeon All-Stars Battle Royale, put Crimson Chin in your game. I'm going to just advocate for this at the end of every episode. Now, this will be the only time, but go put Crimson Chin in your game and stop watching our podcast.
All right. Have a great time. See you guys next week.
See you guys.